Oh, here we go. All right. So I'd like to call to order the work session for the town of North Beach for February 4th, 2021. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you for everybody else that's on the line right now. We're going to start off with a call to order and pledge of allegiance. So let's go ahead and do the call to order.
You just called it to order.
Excuse me, pledge allegiance. I apologize. For Jane's laughing, we're going to let Jane lead the way for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jane.
Welcome.
So
Thank
awkward
you.
on Zoom doing the pledge, so I appreciate your patience in doing that. You know, we have public comment as number 2, Stacy, and I was wondering if we can go right into business items, because I'm sure the business item is going to generate public comment.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so let me give y'all a rundown of what has caused this meeting for tonight. So over the past 6+ months, I've been having a lot of discussion with Rick, our zoning administrator, and also Stacy, and some historical stuff with Joanne and different members about different things about the town and so forth. And Rick and I have been discussing the challenges of some of the zoning and some of the, you know, one paragraph says this, the next paragraph says this, it doesn't line up, you get to another chapter. And then recently we had somebody go in front of the planning commission that their position doesn't exist. So, you know, we really got to get this under control. You know, we're an amazing town that is booming. You know, our values of our price of our homes are going through the roof. Our streets are paved. We're Mayberry RFD on steroids, way I like to say. We have so many good things going on right now. But we are a small town of 0.34 square miles. We have 15 miles of road, and we have the bay, we have the wetlands, we have Chesapeake Beach, and then we have Calvert County. So it's not like we can continue to grow, and we really need to get this zoning under control. And it's under the general code of the town, and within that we have the zoning ordinance. So we started looking around, and Rick and I have, as with most of the staff, my staff, we talk daily, if not, we talk a lot during the week. And one of the areas we were discussing was fees. And bear with me here. There's an end to my story, and I started asking, like, why is this dollar amount, and this one is the same type of business, but it's this dollar amount, and this one's this dollar amount, and this. Now the reason behind the fees makes sense to me. I'm not here to argue that or deny that. It's needed to keep the town the way it is. We need to have a code. We have to have enforcement. We have to do the things we got to do. But then it started making us dig a little deeper, because then Rick gets curious. He finds something. He calls me. I look. I hit up Stacy. Pull up this. Pull up that. And then we started digging deeper and deeper and deeper. So we started talking about business licenses. And I know it will go back to what was advertised about the zoning ordinances and so forth, temporary concessions and all that. It will circle around, but I just want to give you the big picture. Like, this just didn't happen last week or last night. This has been going on for a little bit. And then we started digging deeper into it, and we started finding out some things, like in chapter 69, licensing. And I know I spoke to Gwen a little bit. If Gwen wants to jump in, or DB or Alyssa wants to jump in. Then we started looking at chapter 69, licensing, article 1, general provisions. And let me tell you something, folks. I got the book behind me. It's pretty, and we've been dissecting it. The planning commission's got a plan. There's a lot to what's moving on. And you know, in 2022, the town comprehensive plan review is due in 2022. Well, it's 2021, folks. We're going to be in 2022 before you know it. So, Rick is working with the Planning Commission to dissect each chapter, to look at it. But when we started digging into some of the business stuff, article on general provisions, upon payment of required fees, the town clerk, which is Stacy, issues a license to the applicant after approval by the Committee on Licenses.
We don't have a committee on licenses.
So for those who are on the Committee of Licenses, please stand up. Yeah. So there's a lot of that, and it's not intentional, and it was planned, it was organized, and it made sense. But over time, it's kind of like that time where you can whisper somebody's ear in the boardroom and it goes to, there's a name for it. And by the time it gets back to you, it's not even remotely the same thing that it started at.
Telephone.
Telephone. Well, that was a hard one to remember. Thank you. So we started digging, we started looking, and then I said, hold on, we got to get this cleaned up. We got to get it cleaned up. I now that I know about it, being the mayor, the town administrator, CEO, look at my titles, a really glamorous title out there. I cannot let this go any further. I want to get this cleaned up. I want to make sure that what we're doing is meeting the rules of our town. We just can't say, that doesn't make sense. Don't worry about it, throw it away. It's in the ordinance. You don't throw it away. It doesn't work that way. So I started dissecting it. The Planning Commission is jumping on it. We got the comprehensive plan review that Rick is working on. But we really need to address these things. Years ago, we removed the parking requirements. Now we're losing parking. We got businesses want to come here. We have businesses here. We got to look at this stuff. And if you walk around town, you see these are all things, the licensing fee structure. Let's make sense. Let's make it uniform. Also, do we need a business license committee? If not, we got to do it. We got to remove it. It says it's supposed to be reviewed by a committee that doesn't exist. So I'm gonna turn it. I'm gonna let Rick speak if he'd like to speak. The meeting tonight was for talking about temporary concessions, and it is, but I think the issue is bigger. The issue is not just temporary concessions, because nothing makes sense with that, but also looking at all the business licenses, category 2 commercial development and CNW district, category 2 non-single family. I mean, just looking at it and seeing what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and cleaning it so when somebody wants to come to our town, they can pull it up online and it makes sense. Not by what we say, but listen, I have 3 staff members on here and they will tell you, I've said since day one, documentation beats conversation. And that's what my goal is for tonight, to start the conversation, but it won't end here tonight. I'm going to recommend something later on once we get done talking. But we need to get this under control. We need to get to address just one of many issues. One is the temporary concession. What does it mean? Where is it? Why is it allowed? Is it allowed? What do we got to do? So does anybody have any questions so far for me?
I'm just wondering what the role of the license committee. I mean, what do they actually, not that it even matters, Mike, but what do they actually do when they reviewed the license? I mean, it's kind of funny, actually. It's kind of funny. It's like they look at it and what? I
don't know. It was written in the ordinance, and it, I agree. But we have to address it now, so we have to remove it. Well, we just can't remove. I can't take. We just can't cross it out. It's got to be through a process.
Right. Or does that mean looking at it to see if that business is a good fit for the town from an economic development perspective? I mean, how much, that's a separate but related issue. I'd love to know what the function of that committee was originally deemed to be. That would That's just sort of an interesting side note, but
Absolutely.
to your point, you know,
My recommendation that I'm going to have soon or after we get done chatting is why I'm recommending what I'm about to recommend. Because I can't answer that. I can't. I don't know. Joe's been around longest, probably on the call. DB's been here, I think, like 13 years, maybe. Stacy's been here for 20 plus years. We don't I mean, I know based off my conversations, nobody recalls this committee ever existing.
right, or being used,
No,
or yeah, what
not
was,
in-
it'd be interesting to know what the original purpose was, if there's some part of that we want to keep, or do we throw out the whole thing, or there's just some unanswered questions.
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful question, one with many. And then one of the things we found is, you know, in one section, it might say, Mike's allowed to talk to Stacy. And then on chapter 3, it says, Stacy can't speak to Mike. Like, it's like there's this here, but then a chapter 2, 3 later, it's something totally different. And it's like what happened was they removed some stuff, but they didn't think about looking at the other chapters and see where that stuff they removed affects another chapter someplace. And it's real quick, there's nobody being thrown under the bus. This is a daunting effort and a lot of work.
Mike, is there anyone that can look at it that we maybe have to hire somebody to look
Planning
at it and go through it?
That's what the planning commission is here for. They're going to dissect it. They're going to bring it back in front of us. So the planning commission and Rick's on here still. We have the ability with what we have to make it right. We just need to make it right. And when I say right, it could be words, it could be punctuation, how they're used. It could be this business committee. You know, we might have a discussion with the planning commission. They might have a discussion that they believe that there should be one stood off because there's a benefit to it.
Right.
I don't know, but that's where the planning commission earns their high salaries. I'm teasing. Paid. Before somebody thinks we're paying them. What other? I mean, you know, tonight's meeting, we are about the temporary concessions, but the temporary concessions a conversation came about once we started looking at the business license for temporary concessions and what does that mean? And then once we went down that rabbit hole, we realized that the challenges are bigger than just that. It's with any business that has come to this town. And folks, there used to be a philosophy, they'll figure out the parking. No, they won't. There is no, unless we pave the bay. So let's stop saying that. So we need to make sure we're looking at this holistically and not just say, oh, we need, no. Let's look at this. And it will help with us getting each chapter cleaned up with the community input and support.
Mayor, what kind of timeline do you think we're looking at here? Like start to finish? This is an estimate.
A year.
A year.
And again, it could be faster. It could be what the planning commission has started is starting with some chapters, and they're going to go through them, and they have homework. They also use board docs, and you know, then they got to bring it all back to us. I mean, so there's a public hearing, and Stacy can jump in because this is her, you know, wheelhouse here. It's not just making a change and say, all right, we made the change. It's public hearings. It's a process. And that's why I'm going to recommend soon after I get done talking what I recommend.
Question for you or for Stacy. When the I know the planning commission has charged themselves right now with going through 3 different chapters. I don't remember what the chapters are. Are they going to bring them back to us as individual chapters or as a whole body?
No, the package will come back complete.
So what's that, Stacy?
Oh, the package will come back complete.
Yeah.
It'll be a complete package.
We talked about bringing it back as a completed something, but I don't want to have the same mistake we have now. I want to look at the whole as a whole to make sure that chapter 1, all the highlighted, whatever way they do it, that they recommend, we come back and then we as a body will address it. And this way we know that we don't do what we have now. And that is things that we change in the front affects the back, and we didn't even think about it. And again, I'm not saying that we got to throw the whole thing out. Most of it's perfect. It's wonderful. But there's
My
issues.
question really isn't that we approve each section as they finish it, but if we could look at each, so we have a chance to really go through it.
Again, I don't know.
The whole thing.
I don't, unless there's a legal reason, Alyssa or Stacy or Rick, I don't think there's a problem with that. Is there?
No. Not at least.
I don't know of any reason.
Okay.
I don't know of any reason why.
Okay. So yeah, so they can,
Would like, then that's what Rick and I will let the planning commission know.
yeah, we could do that. Yeah. So Jane, what she's saying, she can let the planning commission know. So as they complete them, then we can get them to council so they can start to review.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then again, the public is going to be brought into it too. So, there's a step process, but definitely we can do it as we go along to make sure, and then we can present it as a whole.
I just think we'd be more thorough that way, looking at each section at a time instead of looking at the whole thing at one time.
Mhm.
I agree. I have no problem with that. And I don't think Stacy or Rick does either. So we can do that. And again, this is due. I mean, like I said, the review is due 2022. So it's not like we waited or, this is, hate to say, it's kind of perfect timing because this is, we got to do it anyway. Any other questions from council, or we can open up to the public if not? Well, good. Any other questions from council before I give you my recommendation? We good? Okay. Here's what I recommend. I've already talked to Alyssa today, talked to her yesterday, talked to her the day before. I think I talked to her every day. I recommend, for me, I'm suggesting that we place a 6-month moratorium on business licenses. This will give us the opportunity to clean this up properly. And when I say 6 months, I just said a year to Paul. I understand that. And this is a moving time frame. But what I do know is right now, based off our ordinance, there's no committee to review. And you just can't ignore an ordinance. Correct, Alyssa? Thank you. So
Yes.
I'm recommending to the council that next week at the town council meeting, that we move to pass a moratorium on issuing business licenses for 6 months. It could be sooner, it could be a little longer. It's going to give us some time to get this under control and cleaned up.
You mean new ones, right? Not renewals.
New ones.
Thank you.
New ones. As of today, as of right now. So we got to get it cleaned up. We have no committee to review. So somebody wants to submit it now, it goes in front of the committee. We'll drop it off Stacy's house, I guess. But that's my recommendation, that we next Thursday, we do and again, Alyssa can tell us the exact verbiage. But I suggest that we do, so we don't go deeper into this rabbit hole with not doing it correctly.
Backdate it to today.
It would start today.
And I would just recommend, if we can do it more quickly,
Yes.
that we, that we do that. Just so that we don't have any unintended consequences, as I typically say, but I think that's
Absolutely.
That's responsible.
Absolutely. We're not delaying it. This is a time, it's winter time. We're still in the middle of COVID. I know vaccines are going out, but we're a long ways away from being to that 80 to 90% of vaccinations happen. So this is a time that our planning commission can jump on it. We as a council can jump on it. We can knock this out.
Yeah.
Any questions about that?
No, except that the time frame is really up to the planning commission and when they get some of those back to us, correct?
Well, we can make that a priority, right? That piece a priority, Mayor?
What's that? Yes.
But you're saying,
we
yeah,
can.
the moratorium.
Absolutely. And then we can work it out. So a lot of, just had a question about forming a committee. And we can do public comment now, but 6 months, what I don't want to do is, and I haven't done it since I've been mayor, I'm not going to say a shorter time and then extend it. I'd rather say 6 months and we do it faster, but we're not hurting anybody. We're talking about anybody new from today. And it's just, we had too many, we don't even have we don't even know what the bylaws of a committee would be if it's needed. So I would rather say a moratorium for 6 months and we move faster than just keep saying 1 month, keep pushing it out. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, if it's okay to speak.
Yeah, no, I want public comment. Go ahead.
I guess in my opinion, issuing licenses, albeit business or something else, and again, understandably, there's no committee, should not be up to one person. So if I'm following, there's a moratorium on any new
Yes,
applications.
yes,
And then at the conclusion of this time period, there'll be something put in place.
yes.
Okay, so I guess I'm curious as to why would we not want a committee? Understandably, the committee hasn't met, whatever the case is, why wouldn't we want a committee?
I'm not saying we won't, but I don't see a need for a committee, because if you look at the business license, they have to meet the rules and regulations of the town. The ordinance says there's a committee. I'm not saying there's needs of a committee. We don't know yet.
Well,
That's
I'm
where
not-
you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what a legal definition of a committee is. Can you have a committee of one? I don't know.
I don't know. Right now we do. It's called the clerk.
Okay, so wouldn't the businesses go elsewhere?
I have zero fear of that, because I don't know where the business would go right now. So
Okay,
I don't fear that at all. I mean, we are far from the town from the 80s and 90s. I mean, even in the cold weather, a boardwalk has people on it. So I don't fear that at all. And again, I'm not saying it's going to take 6 months, but I do know that as of right now, we got to figure this all out. And there's
Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor, it's Rick. I would let everybody know, I think Mickey and Jane were both at the last PC meeting, but I made it pretty clear, and they all seemed to jump on board, that, you know, we would like to have the entire zoning ordinance review done within 6 months at the very longest. So I believe that we can get what you guys need as far as a zoning review well within that time frame. I've actually given myself a kind of a tight window. I told them the first 4 chapters reviewing, I'll have my recommendations to them within the next 10 days. So I'm gonna push them to go through this as soon as we can. And one of the things that brought this up, like you were talking about earlier, was as we started going through some things, something as simple as looking at a fence. There's one chapter in the fence where it talks about commercial fencing, and the very shortest a commercial fence should be is 6 feet, and that the zoning recommends screening be taller than 6 feet. And then there's another part in the zoning that says, you know, the maximum height for any fence is 6 feet. So there's just, I think over time what happened was as reviews were done, there was other chapters where something might have changed, and then they missed correcting it in another chapter. And so that was why I made the recommendation to the PC that we'd start the review process now to make you guys to send the recommendations to the council, because I know the comp plan is due soon, and you really can't do the comp plan and then go back and do the zoning ordinance. You've got to do the town code and the zoning ordinance first, so that you can then jump into the comp review. I think I've got that in the right order. So
It's a lot of moving parts, but it was going to happen in 2022 anyway. And my issue is that I don't want to keep moving forward with doing stuff, allowing stuff, when we might find out that we shouldn't have done that in the first place. And we are a town that you will feel every nook and cranny of this town. And there's no going back once it's put in place. As you can tell with COVID, trust me, we had to open the benches up because of some crazy people. It's been a rough road for 10 months, and people don't go back. So You give an inch, they take a mile. So we got to make sure that what we're doing is the right thing to me. But if you want to open it up, if council doesn't have any other questions, I like to open up the public comment. I know a lot, or already have one, but if there's anybody, I know Mr. Russo's on here, Andrea's on here. Please, any comments, pass it on. But that's my recommendations for next Thursday. Paul's in charge of opening up the mic, so it's not my fault.
I don't see any additional comments in the chat, but I can open up Mr. Russo's and Andrea's mic.
Yeah. I'm glad he's doing this. There's one. All right. Well, while he unlocks that one, Mr. Russo, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. How's the weather doing?
Well, a little chilly today. It was not a 68.
Aw.
So sad.
You know, that's just wrong. You could have lied and said it was like 48 or something.
I had to tell the truth. I appreciate where you're all coming from, and we'll certainly work with you in terms of helping you to resolve some of these issues that seem to exist in the zoning code, but it's not going to be an easy one. God be with you. It's going to be a tough one, but we'll work with you.
All right, cool. Yeah, it's we just need to get it right. You know, that's all my goal is, just get it right and move forward. That's all. We just got to clean her up. It's disheartening sometimes when you see the mistakes, and it was not done intentionally by anybody. It just happens. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything else, I'd like to make a motion. Do y'all have any other questions for me? DB, you have any questions? Cool. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I look forward to a journey getting this knocked out so we can move forward into 2022 with the town. And hopefully we'll be out of COVID one day sooner than later. Stay safe. Be very careful. It is real. A lot of y'all know what I'm going through with my in-laws, and it's a scary situation now. So stay safe out there. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Y'all have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.